What's up, everybody? Welcome to the State of Wild, episode 102, our regular YouTube video web series podcast thingy. My name is Meowth, and as usual, I'm joined with two good friends and co-hosts, Roffle and Corbett. How are you guys doing tonight?
You know, I'm doing great. We're fresh off of the theory crafting streams here, recording this, getting a chance to play some of the new cards. Make our card reviews today a little bit more well-informed, and I don't know. I personally had a blast. I'm even more excited for the set. Mostly my excitement for the set was based on the flavor and like the theme of it. But now, having played some of the cards, like there's some cards that I'm like legitimately very excited for too. So, still super hyped for the expansion. The one bummer is that we've got like this down week where we're just kind of waiting for the new cards. We were told that like this is an abnormal schedule and that there's a reason for it, but we don't really know why, and it's kind of a bummer, but at least it ideally won't happen again in the future.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still going in a little bit in the dark. I haven't researched, I haven't theorycrafted as much as usual, and I think part of that is because, well, I wasn't joining you guys on the theorycrafting event, and so I didn't really deep dive as much as some other wild people. So for me, this is one of the like going into the expansion, I don't really feel confident or know what's good or even feel like I have a really good grasp of what the entire set looks like yet, which is going to make this episode pretty fun. So
yeah, it's going to make those predictions at the end of the episode even more fun to look back
about
on
those.
In a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one. We're going to need some asterisks and some like ooh.
Yeah, maybe a few more Deck of Chaos this expansion, unlike last expansion where we were all like pretty solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Theory Crafting Stream was a ton of fun. Enjoyed it. Actually, like Roffle said, there's a lot of cards that seem like they're going to be competitive in Wild, so I'm pretty excited for this expansion. And so today, since we did our mega review episode last week, and Corb wasn't there, so unfortunately for you guys, you didn't get the great opinions, but you're going to get them this week. We're not going to do like all the rest of the cards that got revealed in the card dump. We're just going to pick and choose some of the highlights from all of these classes. And then we're going to head into just kind of our predictions of decks and cards and power and all that kind of good stuff. The traditional pre-expansion episode. And so let's go ahead and start with some card reviews. Let's dive into it. We're going to start here from the bottom again. We're using the Play Hearthstone website, so it's all sort of out of whack when it comes to order of classes. But, the cards will be showing up on screen, so just follow along. But we got some Secret Mage support. Just got dumped in the card dump. And I don't know why, because these cards are pretty powerful. So let's just kind of talk about them together. So let's start with Chatty Bartender. It was a 4-mana 4/4. At the end of your turn, if you control a secret, deal 2 damage to all enemies. And so note that it says all enemies. That includes the opponent's face. Guys, let me tell you, this card's busted. And we also have Orion Mansion Manager. This is the legendary minion here for Mage. 4-mana 3/5. After a friendly secret is revealed, cast a different mage secret, and Orion gains +2/+2. So yeah, really strong mage synergy support. Guys, is this enough to bring Secret Mage back from the grave?
I don't know. You tell me, famous Wild Hearthstone streamer Get Me Out. I believe that you did get a little bit dumpstered by specifically the Chatty Bartender in one of our matchups. Yeah, I think that because this is part of the card dump, the fact that this does go face was overlooked by a lot of people, and the card is bonkers. Like, I wasn't running fireballs, and I had a game where I just got 2 of these down, and it's just like, well, this game's over on turn 4 or 5, I guess it was. So like, yeah, this card is bonkers. Chatty Bartender, Orion seems like a pile of hot garbage. I played him multiple times. He didn't activate once, and yeah, super disappointing. 4 is a competitive slot already. You already have good beefy 4 drops. I think Secret Mage does have this is another Flak Mage, and Flak Mage is one of those first times where we saw a huge bump in the relative power level of Secret Mage, because it was able to actually deal with the wide board states. Chatty Bartender is essentially another one of those on, an understated body, but it goes face. So yeah, pretty good. Secret Mage did really well for me when I was testing it out, especially in the XL version where I was running 40 cards because there are 40 good cards in Secret Mage that you can just run now.
Yeah, the mage weakness for a bit now has been lack of one drops, right? And this obviously doesn't solve that problem, but it does mean that like if you don't have a super premium like early game, you need really good recovery. So in addition to the flak mage now having this as sort of a way to fight back on board and recover and swing, does seem like really important. I'm not quite sure I'm out on Orion yet. I do want to see that card a little bit more in action, but I mean, Roffle, you actually had a chance to play with the card, and I didn't see it too much. But I imagine with something like Oasis Ally or counterspells, it can be okay. But I don't know exactly what your list looked like.
No, I think that I think you're exactly right, and like I had to run the Vengeful Visage just because I wanted to see, first of all, if it was a playable secret. It's probably not. Second of all, I needed to hit the card requirements for the new set, and that was one way of doing it. So it was kind of like a dual purpose. Yeah, I think that if you're running Orion, you probably do want in that slot either either Oasis Ally, or obviously you are running Counterspell because it's a Secret Mage deck. But there's also the other 3 mana
Portal.
Yeah, the portal, just so that you can, because you need something that like activates when they try and interact with the Orion. And a lot of times, like it wasn't so much that like he didn't do anything. It was just like I had better 4-drops in hand. I had the Chatty Bartender. I had the double 4/4s. Like it was just like, well, this is just outclassed by the other stuff that the deck's already doing. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm a little bit biased. You kept Chatty Bartendering me when I was playing even Shaman at Dude Paladin, so like the Chatty Bartender was like really gross. And I think it's probably okay enough against like Pirate Rogue. I don't know how much it swings the needle in that matchup.
I think like, the combination between this card and 40 health probably does swing the matchup a reasonable amount, just because like having that extra buffer of health when you have so much card draw and quite a bit of redundancy card fetch for the secrets, I think it kind of makes sense in that deck.
I mean, I guess follow-up question, do we think like 40 card Secret Mage might be the way, just because we have, like, Roffle thinks we have a high enough density of just good cards, and do we have good enough secrets to support that as well?
So yes, I think so. Because I think the secret package is where you can like bolster some of that. I think that like the 4 mana slot is also a place where you have, so like I wasn't running Fireball, but you have like a lot of competitive slots for it for just the minions. But what we're seeing in Standard a lot, and to a lesser extent in Wild, is like Renathal is actually pretty okay in some aggressive decks. With the understanding that like you hit a certain point where you're just willing to concede the board and start like burning the opponent's face. Like I had success with this with an Odd Demon Hunter. I imagine Odd Rogue is probably very similar, and I think Secret Mage is in the same place where you have the minions to control the early board. That's what Secret Mage has always excelled at. That's why, to Corb's point, like the lack of 1-drops is a big hindrance, but getting ahead early and then finishing with burn has like literally been the formula since back when I was hitting single-digit legends with Azure Drakes and Firelands Portal in my deck, when I literally wrote a guide on this for to get a job at Hearthstone top decks. Like that's always been the strategy for the deck, and that remains true. So like that type of strategy, you can buy an extra turn, essentially a third ice block in some situations, and like that's good for the deck in order to accumulate some more burn. So I think it makes sense in the deck.
Yeah, what about you, Corb?
Oh, the Renathal? I'm not entirely sure. Like, I mean, I think Renathal was slotted into decks that I wouldn't have initially thought made sense. Like the big Beast Hunter in Standard. Like I think Roffle outlined a whole bunch of good points. It's just I don't know. Like I think Renathal is actually such a hard card to get a read on exactly where it's going to fit, because it's so unorthodox. It's just weird. Like you don't know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. To wrap up our conversation here about Secret Mage, I kind of want to just hop around a little bit here and talk about a neutral 2-drop that was revealed in the card dump. That's probably like one of the best secret cards that we've gotten in years, and that's Anonymous Informant. It's a 2-mana 2/3 battle cry. The next secret you play costs 0. So the big important thing here to note is that it's not limited to just this turn. Right, so what you can do is you can coin this out on turn 1 and then go Flak Mage 0-mana secret on turn 2. A lot of cute stuff. You can do that to like guarantee your Chatty Bartender going off on 4, things like that. So obviously good in Secret Mage where you get to discount like cheat 3 mana with your secret. It's another Cabal Lackey, another Kirin Tor Mage, and so I don't really think we need to harp too much on just like the power of this card. Just another really strong secret support piece that kind of just got lost in the card dump that you guys should be paying attention to moving into the new expansion.
Probably play it in Even Hunter, I think, as well. I wouldn't be shocked to see that.
Fair.
I was thinking the same thing. Or even just like if Secret Rogue becomes a thing as well. Like the fact that it carries over, you know, you do probably want to cheat at least 2 mana off of it, but like the fact that it carries over from turn to turn is a huge deal.
Yeah. It's super nice to guarantee like the secret synergy with the important minion. Which is super nice.
It's just a better Kirin Tor Mage is really what it comes down to.
It really is, yeah. All right, let's move into what's a hunter here, and the thing I want to focus on in hunters here are the wild spirits. So we talked last week about Spirit Poacher and how we weren't completely sold on it. I was maybe a little bit higher on it than Roffle, but then we saw 2 new cards that also synergized with the Wild Seed. We saw 3, but 2 of them are actually pretty good, and I was playing with them during the Theory Crafting stream, and they actually seemed really strong, even for Wild's power level. And so let's talk about some cards here. Erelon, which is the Hunter Legendary, 5-mana 4/5 battle cry. Summon 1 of each dormant Wild Seed. So just to remind you, you have the 1-mana 3/1 Rush, dormant for a turn. The 2/5 Taunt, dormant for 2 turns, and then the 5/4 that equips a 4/2 weapon, dormant for 3 turns. So this is a 5-mana 4/5 summon 4 bodies, essentially. Which is really powerful with stuff like Buzzard, and the next card here, which is Wild Spirits, 3-mana nature spell, summon 2 different dormant Wild Seeds. But the most important part here, make your Wild Seeds, okay, maybe not the most important, but make your Wild Seeds awaken 1 turn sooner, it's important for Wild because it accelerates these dormant minions, which is what we were kind of talking about as the big weakness to these last week. And I'll say, I played some Beast Hunter with these in the Theory Crafting stream, and it seemed really strong, like really powerful. And so I think these are definitely worth taking a look at in that Copper Hunter or that Beast Hunter on live once the expansion goes live. I don't know if you guys mess around with any of these Wild Seeds, but what are you thinking?
I didn't personally play them, but I had them played against me, and the Wild Spirits moves the needle significantly in terms of speeding these up, because you know, you have them awaken a turn earlier. That like we talked about, the speed of them waking up was a big deal. Also, the fact that they're beasts was something that I kind of overlooked, in that interaction with like setting up a dormant steed or seed rather going into a buzzard turn is kind of a big deal. So for that Copper Hunter, but like I don't know how deep you're going with these cards into that deck, right? Like, are you running the full package? That's 6-7 card slots, you know, in a deck that's already rather competitive for slots. But at the same time, like with Rhino, like timing the dormant minions is also kind of a big deal and actually beneficial, because there are a lot of, basically Copper Hunter, the whole deck is setting up big Buzzard and Rhino turns. So if the steeds can help you with that, yeah, maybe it is worth a look, because you're not just like necessarily playing cards on curve like you would typically with a mid-range hunter deck. So
yeah, I'm a big believer in Wild Spirits and Aralon. I love both these cards in the Copper Hunter. I don't even know if like you don't need to necessarily go with the Poacher or anything like that. I just think those 2 alone are just standalone very strong cards. I don't know, it's kind of a lot that I really like in the Hunter set in general. I'm also hyped about potentially Huntsman Altimore in Beast Hunter. I know it's 7 mana,
like
but
the
like
only one.
I know I'm the only one that seems a little high on it. It's just I I don't know just how easy it is to get like Infuse 8 in a deck like Beast Hunter. Like you do push wide pretty regularly, and you know, 7-mana Call the Wild. I think people forget how strong that card was at 8. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of like King Crush when that card. Oh, when Brand came out and summoned the King Crush, and it's kind of doesn't look that flashy, but I think it can be quite strong.
I mean, we do have Call of the Wild at 8 right now, but I guess it doesn't.
Yeah, but 7.
Yeah, 7 is less than 8, and it does come with a body. But
you have to do so much work, though.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know how much work it is. I'm not entirely sure, especially with the wild spirits and Aralon and things like that. There's a lot of many bodies built into like one card kind of thing going on. But we'll see. Either way, the first 2 ones that we talked about are the ones I am excited about, and I think Hunter just got a really good set.
All right, so moving into Druid, the one card that we haven't really talked about is Death Blossom Womper. What a great name. It's a 6-mana 7/6 battle cry, draw a Death Rattle minion, and then gain its Death Rattle. So you can set up some Hedge Maze shenanigans with this potentially. Cheat out like an early Hadronox. Some ideas that I've seen floated out are Deathwing Dragon Lord in Druid, really taking that Dragon Druid to the next level, where you do the rogue thing where you play what is the card? Apothecary.
Oh, Necroom.
Yeah. And you basically do this in Druid. It's 6 mana, but you're Druid. So some cute ideas with Druid. I'm not like 100% sold on them being like super competitive, but it sounds like a really fun thing to do with it, like cheating out Grey Bows, Hadronoxes, and maybe some Deathwing Dragon Lords.
Oh, and I know the other one we haven't talked about, the Widowbloom Seedsman. This is the 4-mana 3/2 battle cry, draw a nature spell, gain an empty mana crystal. I think it's just so easy to get into the habit of completely just dismissing 4-mana minions in Druid, but with Renathal, like this is an actual, this card's really strong, I think. And in a Renathal deck, seems like a good fit, or even just in like the Reno Druid decks as well. It's also another nice place for it. So
yeah, I think it's just an immediate inclusion in most Reno Druid decks, and I think most Reno Druid decks are probably going to lean towards Renathal anyway, so like win-win, or it's just like both of those. So yeah, I think the card's pretty good. It's a matter of whether that archetype can still hold up in Wild.
Yeah. All right, let's move on into Rogue. In the card dump, we got 5 new Rogue cards, all related to secrets. So Roffle was right, and then we didn't have any secrets, and so we got 3 in one set. And let me tell you guys, Secret Rogue might not be very good, but the secrets in combination with the 3-mana 4/3 Stelina card, the Gravedigger, it's a lot of fun to play. Right? Just ask Otters. It's really fun. But let's talk about some of the secrets here. You got Double Cross. When your opponent spends all their mana, draw 2 cards. Kidnap. After your opponent plays a minion, stuff it into a 0/4 sack. We'll talk about Kidnap here in a second, clarify some things with it. And then we have Sticky Situation. After your opponent casts a spell, summon a 3/4 spider with stealth. So very cat tricky button Rogue. And so just like circling back to Kidnap here. So basically what happens is your opponent will play a minion. The battle cry will go off. After the battle cry finishes, it gets stuffed in a 0/4 sack. Okay. When that 0/4 sack dies.
That's on your side of the field.
Yes.
Yep.
And then when they kill that 0/4 sack, they get the minion back. So they get to replay it.
It keeps buffs and enchantments and
things
like that.
It's the same exact card, right? It doesn't lose any of those things. But yeah, outside of Kidnap, not sure. I mean, Sticky Situation, it's a 3/4, right? Like Catrick is a good card in Hunter, so I think this is just a really good secret. And then I do want to talk about, so we have Private Eye, which is Battlecry, cast a secret from your deck, combo cast 2 instead, and the legendary Hulkius. Death Rattle, if you control a secret, store Hulkius' soul inside of it. It resummons Hulkius when triggered. So basically what happens, it's very, what is the Sherazin, the plant, or Korak?
The plant.
Yeah, sure. Regardless. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to die, and its essence gets stored inside of one random secret, and then whenever that secret triggers, it resummons the 5/4. So in general, we have these 5 secret rogue cards. We have Ghastly Gravedigger from last week, so just to remind people, that's a 3-mana 4/3 Battlecry. If you control a secret, choose a card in your opponent's hand to shuffle into their deck. So we've got 6 new Secret Mage support pieces here. I mean, I can just say a little bit. I know Corb was watching me play a little bit of this off Theory Crafting stream, but it draws a lot of cards. It does a lot of things. It's very slow to win, but it's a lot of fun. So
Sounds like my kind of deck. Um, I think Double Cross just kind of seems like a reasonable card too, right? 2 mana draw two. There's sometimes 0 mana draw two. Like, and Sticky Situation is just a better cat trick, or a cat trick with a bigger caboose. Private Eye also seems very good. Like, I'm into it. I want to try it. I want to shuffle my opponent's cards back into their deck all the time. Like, that sounds like a dream. I'm just gonna Shadow Step the Ghastly Gravedigger over and over again until my opponent has no hand.
That's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, the rogue stuff is pretty interesting, where it's gonna have like very niche situations where it's incredibly powerful, right? Like Stunner is still just disgusting against certain decks, whether it is like an even Warlock or we saw it a lot of time with like Libram Paladin in Standard, because they would just bounce back the big Divine Shield 8/8. And so Stunner's really good, and same thing with Ghastly Gravedigger. Like that is really, really powerful disruption. That is one of the strongest disruption cards that we've seen in Hearthstone history. Like, it's really, really good. Just the problem is, like, Rogue has all these really kind of neat cards, and Sticky Situation, Double Cross, like, these are good. It's really hard to kill people as Secret Rogue, and, like, the deck is so slow, and it kind of lacks lethality, and so it'll be interesting. Like, if there's a way for Secret Rogue to kind of overcome that, or maybe become so disruptive and so good on board that it doesn't matter, then maybe it could be a real deck, but it has, like, a lot of powerful support at this point, so... you know, it has the pieces, even if it's not for this expansion specifically. Like, this is something that can definitely move forward and be an archetype in the future.
Yeah. I think it has very much a home in a similar realm to something like Even Hunter, where it feels very, very good against like the slow decks or the combo decks, but might struggle against something like a Pirate Rogue. But to be fair, a lot of things struggle against Pirate Rogue, so I don't know if that's really that big of a detractor for it. But yeah, we had a game where I had a Hanar on turn 2 after playing the 2-mana 2/3 make a secret cost 0, and over the course of like 6 turns I played like 18 secrets, and then I like looked down and it was like turn 8 and my opponent was still at 20 health, and so it was it felt like very hard to, like Corb said, actually kill people with Secret Rogue, but it was really hard for my opponent to do anything because you kept disrupting them super hard. So yeah, I'll be really interested to see kind of how this powerful package gets adopted, whether it's like in a pure Secret Rogue or in something like I don't know if you can fit this package in something like Arena Rogue.
Pirates.
Yeah.
Stealth Pirates, like, I don't know.
Something. But yeah, like Corb said, the package is really powerful, so just finding the right home for it. All right, let's move into Shaman here. I'm in love. We got some Totem Shaman support. It's one of my... I have a soft spot for this archetype. Let's talk about Carving Chisel. 2 mana 1/3. After your hero attacks, summon a random basic totem. Card's busted. 3 totems on a 1/3 weapon for 2 mana. Seems good. And then we finally have a totem giant. It is Gigantotem. I don't know how to say this. It's totem.
Sounded
totem
good to me. Gigantotem.
Yeah.
Gigantotem.
It's a 10 mana 8/8 totem. That costs.
It's gonna be hard not to call it. It's gonna be so hard not to call it just Gigatotem. Like, surely it's a Gigatotem.
The N in there keeps throwing me off. Like when I try to pronounce the name, it's really weird. But yeah, it's 8/8 totem. Costs 1 less for each totem you've summoned this game. During the Theory Crafting stream, I think I was getting this down pretty consistently. Turn 5, turn 6. So yeah, Totem Shaman support, even Shaman support. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, big payoff card. Like, you used to run Sea Giant and even Shaman not that long ago, right? Well, it's quite a while ago now, but it's got really good synergy with not only the old weapon, but also a new weapon that we haven't talked about yet. So like, it's yeah, this card was played against me quite a bit and seemed pretty good every time it happened, because you make a lot of totems in even Shaman or in just straight Totem Shaman. I saw probably an equal amount of both, and they both seem pretty good.
Let's move into Priest here. So Priest got some more Thief Rogue support with Mysterious Visitor and Identity Theft. Some pretty cute things that you can do. I think you have a really dedicated Thief Priest deck. It's not something I'm familiar with. I know Roffle's probably going to be messing with this, so if there's something that sounds like it's up your alley, check out a Dane stream, check out a Roffle stream, check out an Engine stream, check out an Otter stream. They've been playing a ton of this. It's 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 weird. I'm not gonna like identity theft is discover a copy of a card from your opponent's hand and deck. Like it's good. It's really annoying in combination specifically with the legendary, the Harvester, and then Mysterious Visitor discounts all the cards that you've copied from your opponent by 2. So it's like a really powerful enabler as well. But the card I really want to talk about is this really innocuous looking 1 mana holy spell. The light it burns. Deal damage to a minion equal to its attack. So it feels very meta dependent, right? Like on what's a popular deck in the format. But this sounds like a 1 mana kill spell in a lot of situations. How are you guys feeling about the light? It burns.
The only time I saw this card was when it was like gifted to me by the 4 mana Battlecry legendary that swaps cards in hand. And I was just like, wow, this card is great. It really was just a 1 mana kill card. So, yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it's gonna be run in like in a Shadow Reaper Anduin Reno priest if that starts coming back for whatever reason. But I don't know. It's a great card to find off a palm rating. It's a matter of like, is it good? Like we haven't seen single target removal in any type of priest in a while because their mass removal is so efficient. So it's just a matter of whether it's worth a card slot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems very, very good. It's obviously, I think, better than Shadowwood Death, right? Because there aren't that many 5-attack minions that have bigger cabooses than, than attack in the format. I don't know, like comparing it to things like Smite and Hysteria, obviously the potential upside is a bit higher with this. Being able to kill like a mountain giant, potentially for 0 mana, seems good. Not being able to kill a cannon on curve seems bad. So, it will be maybe a little bit hit and miss, but I really, really like it. And again, like Rob said, the fact that it can go to 0 off the palm reading is kind of insane because, not being able to like cost yourself anything and like get the essence out on the same turn that you kill a mountain giant or something like that is kind of pretty insane. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in like big priest, Reno priest, all that kind of stuff.
All right, let's move into Warrior here, and I want to talk about a package of 3 cards here that kind of I did a deep dive before I did the Theory Crafting stream, and I still kind of completely overlooked this package until it was played against me. But let's talk about the package here of Anima Extractor. It's a 2 mana 1/4. Whenever a friendly minion takes damage, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. Important thing here is whenever a friendly minion, not just this minion. You combine that with 2 cards called Crazed Wretch, which is a 2 mana 1/4, has +2 attack and charge while damaged, and Imbued Axe. This is a 3 mana 2/3. After your hero attacks, give your damaged minions +1/+1 with Infuse 3. So if 3 minions die on your side of the board while this is in your hand, it gives your damaged minions +2/+2 instead. So kind of the big play pattern here is Risky Skipper is kind of the best thing that slower warrior decks have had for, it feels like, forever at this point. For good reason. It's a really, really powerful tool. And so Anima Extractor in combination with a Risky Skipper pop-off means that every time you're playing a minion, your hand is getting +3/+3, +4/+4, +5/+5. And then if you do something like play a conditioning with this or swing with an Imbued Axe and buff your minions so that you get even more procs, very, very quickly you get stuff like 11 attack Blood Boil Brutes or Crazed Wretches that start with 9 or 10 attack that you can then like ping with something and play a Bloodstorm Mercenary and actually have a win condition in that Risky Skipper Warrior deck. So this is something that I've seen a little bit on Theory Crafting streams. I haven't really seen a ton of people talking about it, but it seems like it has a ton of potential to kind of actually maybe give that Risky Skipper Warrior some legitimate place in the format.
Yeah, I was playing the Anima Extractor in my Remornia OTK deck. It was kind of a bummer because it kept like the buff kept missing the weapon, and but like the good news is that you get multiple prize at like buffing your hand, because it is only buffing one hand per tick, but like it's all minions that take damage. So like one risky skipper hit can kind of like with an armor smith can really like start ramping things up, because if you have a lot of like small minions on board, which you know you're probably running an armor smith in that deck, and or that type of deck, you're probably running a like the acolyte of pain and that type of thing, just to take some damage depending on how you're building it, especially if you're building it more combo-y. Like you're playing cards that want to be damaged anyway and like benefit from that, so you just get a handful of a bunch of stats and it gets out of control pretty quickly. So I think that maybe there's some potential there. I didn't try the Imbued Axe or the Crazed Wretch, but like, I mean, those are two pretty decent payoff cards when you don't really need that much else, you know, in that type of deck, if you're able to get enough value off of an Anima Extractor. I think it's maybe the closest we're going to see to a patron type deck. You know, you could run, there's also the Bloodsworn Mercenary that you could hit on the Crazed Wretch, right? Like you could, you know, if you buff one up pretty good, you could get some serious burst going. There's ETC shenanigans you could do if you want to go that route. Like there's a lot of cool stuff that Anima Extractor enables that was already running that Risky Skipper package anyway. So yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting where like you want to be able to slap this in the deck that isn't necessarily like a pure combo, right? Because the randomness from the extractor does make it a little bit hard to sort of, you know, push onto one type of minion, especially on the skipper turn, right? Because you're meant to be playing one drops, and so your hand is full of small things, and then you're playing them out, but then some are getting buffed, then you're playing the next one, and so on and so on. But where I really like this is just in a general hand buff warrior, something that's aggressive. I'm kind of picturing like Warrior's version of Buzzard Hunter, of Copper Hunter, is kind of where I'm seeing this, where it's sort of just, you know, instead of battle rage, instead of Buzzard, we have battle rage, and we have these kind of like interesting swing turns going on in turns 4, 5, 6. And then sometimes we just kill people on like turn 6 and 7 using like big crazed wrench and fight the board really well. Things like that. And, you know, it's going to always be very difficult for skipper decks to be fast enough in Wild to be like a pure combo, just because the setup is a little slow, but both these cards are super, super strong. The Axe I'm not actually into very, very much, because like in a skipper deck specifically, it's going to be hard, I think, to have a lot of minions die, and the 3 mana investment feels like a lot. But the Crazed Wretch and the Extractor, I think, you know, very strong pieces.
Sure. I am excited for Risky Skipper Warrior, whatever name it ends up getting, just because those decks have always been really fun to play, and if this ends up being like a legitimate like win condition for the deck, which is kind of always lacked a consistent way to win games, like I'm excited. I did do a lot of Bloodsworn Mercenary big Crazed Wretches, and it got my hopes up a little bit, so I'm excited. Probably going to be one of the first decks that I play.
Picturing Crab Riders me out, this huge Crab Riders.
I was even doing like conditioning so that when I went on the Risky Skipper pop off, I could like play even more minions and get even more buffs. Like I was all in. It was a ton of fun. So I'm excited for it. Okay, let's move into Paladin here. So we've got a couple more pure Paladin support pieces. So let's start with Service Bell. So the 3 mana spell that says discover a class card from your deck and draw all copies of it. And then the Countess, which is the legendary. So 7 mana, 7/7, Battle Cry. If your deck has no neutral cards, add 3 legendary invitations to your hand. The legendary invitations are 3 mana spells that say discover a legendary from another class. It costs 0. So 3 potentially 0 mana legendaries, but you have to spend 9 mana after spending 7 mana on the Countess. Not sold on that, but Service Bell seems like it actually has some niche interactions that might not be pure Paladin, right? So not exactly what they intended, but if you build your deck in a specific way, you can maybe like tutor out your Tip the Scales Prismatic Lens stuff in a Paladin deck like that. Maybe like there might be some stuff with Service Bell specifically. Roffle shaking his head. Do you have other ideas, or just not sold on the card in general?
Just not sold on that. Like my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, this card is awesome, and then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait, it's kind of just an arcane intellect sometimes. But like if you're talking about Prismatic Lens specifically, it interrupts the prismatic lens. Like it makes that
Yeah.
like a little bit worse. So like unless you're shuffling stuff into your deck, I like you're at most going to draw 2 cards with this, right? And like I don't know, we have Divine Favor. We like there are better ways to draw cards in Paladin, I think, than Service Spell. Like being able to select the card, yeah, that's cool, but like I added this card to my deck because I was playing a pure Paladin. I'm like, this card's gonna be nuts. I'm gonna get 3, but then I remembered it's like Thrive in the Shadows. You actually get the first one, you draw the first one, and then you just get the second copy of it. So like you're not even necessarily going to get to pick the best choice, because what if you have like the other copy of that card that you really want in your hand, and then you only get 1 card off of it? That would be a huge bummer.
Yeah, there has to be some specific all-in build-around interaction that makes this worth it. And even something like Feckle Molten Giant, like even if you're guaranteed to get the Molten Giants down, I'm still not loving this and that kind of thing. So it has to be something like very weird and broken. And it is a card that we have to think about in the future. It's just Paladin typically isn't the type of, type of class that sort of opens itself up to big combo things like that. So in a normal deck, anything resembling a normal deck, I think this is awful. But it's a wait and see card and might enable something in the future, but we'll see.
To a lesser extent, like Call to Adventure was a nothing card for a while, but then it like saw some play just as a result of like either Thekkel or Nosdormu. So like being able to target a specific card has merit, but like it's as a standalone card, it's not good.
Yep. All right, let's move into Demon Hunter here. The only Demon Hunter card that we haven't really talked about yet that seems pretty good is Dispose of Evidence. This is a 0-mana spell that says give your hero +3 attack. Choose a card in your hand to shuffle into your deck. Important note here, 0 mana +3 attack seems really strong. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, especially since you're probably playing this in a deck with the Lady Sitheno. So like just make sure it's the one of the last spells that you play and it's very good, right? Yeah, like it fits with some of the other themes of this expansion for Demon Hunter, including the magnifying glaive. So it depends on. I didn't see anybody playing these cards against me, so it depends on how much like the magnifying glaive, the Crixus, and some of the other like just the stats make up for the loss of cards. Like this is very much like just like discard Warlock, right? Like you're paying for overstated minions by not discarding a card but shuffling it back into your deck in most cases, other than Crixus. So like I think it's like it's essentially discard Warlock, but maybe it'll feel less bad for some people. And I mean the stats are somehow just better. Like if you compare Bibliomite to Fell Stalker, like it's just a better card. So if it can get some more support with that, which probably relies on card draw more than anything. That's what discard Warlock has been able to use to offset the downside of discarding things in most cases.
Downside, yeah.
I mean, it was a downside for years.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
So like if there's more like mechanics that are synergistic with this, which I doubt we'll see, I think it's more likely Demon Hunter just gets some strong card draw in the future to like make it worth running these cards.
Yeah, the Crooked Cook is a nice shout, I think, because that's 2 mana 1/4, deal 3 damage to the enemy, draw a card. So obviously that makes us sort of like have no downside. Fellwing is also like a wild exclusive one. This works really well with Fellwing in the early game as well. So yeah, I mean we'll have to see about Demon Hunter. It's hard to say exactly, but I'm assuming this is pretty good. Like I have faith in this aggro shuffle all in Smork Demon Hunter archetype, and I think Disposal of Evidence is going to be good there.
Yeah. All right, let's move into Warlock here, the last class to talk about. Nothing really new that we haven't already talked about. The last one was like a Suffocating Shadows card, which says whenever you play or discard this, destroy a random enemy minion. So might see a home in discard Warlock if that ever comes back. Maybe more realistically, if Tome Tampering Warlock becomes a thing, you do lose a lot of tempo when you like go Malchezaar's Tome Tempering, and so like if you sometimes discard a Suffocating Shadows, maybe that helps make up for that tempo loss. So that's maybe where you might see this, maybe. But we can maybe talk about some Tome Tampering later today. But I wanna hop over to some neutral cards here. Just some highlights. Corb just mentioned the Crooked Cook. So this is a new one from the card dump. You guys might kind of recognize the theme here. I think it was Soup Vendor was like the original card, where if you gain 3 or more life this turn, you drew a card. This is Crooked Cook, 2 mana, 1/4. If you dealt 3 or more damage to the enemy at the end of the turn, draw a card. It's a lot easier to deal 3 than it is to heal 3. So I think this is a much better card. I'm actually excited to see where this really fits in wild decks. We talked about Anonymous Informant already. Murloccula. So if you guys, I'm not going to spoil the flavor text for this. You guys need to read it in the client or on the website. But this is a 4 mana 3/4 Murloc with lifesteal. Infuse 4. This costs 0. So I guess the really big thing here, I guess, is does this maybe have a place in those aggressive Murloc strategies, right? I'm talking about Paladin and Shaman as just a 0 mana 3/4 Corridor Creeper-esque kind of card.
I think it could also deserve a look in like even decks as well, right? Like an even Shaman I saw it played against me reasonably well. I don't like, there used to be a time when Flurgle was first released that you would probably run a Murloc package, but I think that time is probably gone now with how much you want to allocate to the totems, and I feel like that in even Shaman is what's going to be limiting for this card. Could be worth a look in. Probably not even Warlock, just because like you don't want you run few minions, so it's probably a little bit too slow developing. I think maybe even Paladin might be the only other like legitimate consideration, just because of the token hero powers from both of those decks. But yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm kind of looking at it, and in my head, I don't want to undersell like how close this is to a pre-nerf Corridor Creeper, because I mean it's not that far off, but at the same time, Infuse only working on your side of the field is sort of like a big deal.
That's a really big deal, because before I read the card text, I was actually running this in Evolve Shaman with Corridor Creeper, and I'm like, the Corridor Creeper is coming online faster than the Murloccula, and like that's a bad thing. Like you have to be losing for this to be a good card in a lot of cases. So
exactly, and a deck like Murloc Shaman in particular, that deck is so much all about like getting your minions online, just like keeping those same minions there and just like buffing them up every turn and like never letting them go away, which is very different. Like even Shaman, I think, has a little bit more room to like kind of get its stuff removed, but even Shaman is another deck that's all about just like keeping those same minions that you summon on turn 1 and 2, keeping them alive for a long time. So I don't know, I don't really have great faith in this one. Maybe if it was Odd Costed, like Odd Pally, I think could be down, but I don't know if any of the even decks or even the Murloc decks really like this very much. So yeah, not super into it as much as I might have thought.
Yeah, it says 0 on it, so I'm not going to discount it until like a month in, and then like once it's officially not good enough. But yeah, I learned my lesson from Corridor Creeper. Anytime something says 0, I'm just like, yeah, it's got to be busted somewhere, somehow. So we'll see. Mm-hmm. All right, I want to wrap up our discussion with neutral cards here with everybody's favorite. Let's talk about some tech cards. Let's start with Muck Plumber. So 5 mana 5/5. All minions cost 2 more, so yours and the opponent's. So basically Nerubian Unraveler, but for minions instead of spells. The only time I saw this played against me was somebody Darkest Houred me during the Theory Crafting stream, pulled some Unravelers and some Muck Plumbers, and it was very bleh, very, very gross. And then the other one is Steam Cleaner. Say 5 mana 5/5 mech, Battlecry, destroy all cards in both players' decks that didn't start there. So my understanding is this just auto deletes Cthulhu pieces. Cthulhu the Shattered. It destroys Jade Idols. More importantly for Standard, this destroys Kazakusan and Lady Prestor. But in Wild, it might have some fringe applications as well.
it's yet another reason why you don't need to
No.
run Skulking Geist in your deck, because Jade Idol just gets deleted by this.
Oh my god.
So problem solved. You can run, instead of a 4-mana 4/6 or 6-mana 4/6, you can run a 5-mana 5/5, which is slightly better.
I mean, if you really hate Cthulhu Druid, then I mean, this is it.
Yeah. You must really hate it.
And also,
Yeah.
and also a lot of the decks that like Cthulhu Druid beats, it can still beat without the Cthulhu pieces just by being like a druid.
Yeah.
And, like doing druid things for a while.
Yeah, I don't. Neither of these tech cards excite me very much. Man.
Nope.
Which is good, right? Which is good.
Yeah, this is good.
I'm still excited by the 3-mana 3/4. The what is it called? The Duster.
I forgot about that card. I'll be real. I haven't seen
They
that.
called Neophyte for minions. That's the tech.
I haven't seen anyone even talk about that card for weeks. It feels like.
Well, it got revealed weeks ago, so that's probably
Yeah,
why.
exactly. Yeah.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up for all the cards here between last week and this week. Hopefully you guys got a pretty good sense of what's going on this expansion. Like we mentioned, lots of pretty sweet stuff. And so kind of just open the floor up. I know Rolf and I did some theory crafting. Corb, I know you watched a little bit of theory crafting, but you've been talking to people.
Very small.
Yeah. Just a little bit, yeah. But I know you've been talking to people. So I guess just like open it up. So like what archetypes kind of are you the most excited for? What impressed you the most during theory crafting? Like what's going to be your day one deck?
I don't know about my day one deck, but the deck that I had the most fun with on theory crafting was the Draka Sinstone Graveyard Rogue, where with it just like fueling them with knolls and making the Sword of 1,000 Truths like repeatedly and just bashing my opponent in the face. Like the consistency at which I was able to just bash people with big weapons from Draka was disgusting. Like I thought the Sinstone was going to be the good thing in that, because it got multiple use cases, because you know I had 2 charges. But no, it was just, I was just Drakaing people, and it was incredible. I had a lot of fun with it. In terms of decks that I haven't played yet, I really want to try Secret Rogue, because I want to discard my opponent's hand so bad. I just want them to have no cards left and then just suffer and watch me play cards, and that's my favorite thing to do in card games. So I'm really looking forward to that, as well as Imp Warlock, just because I evolved into a Rafam, and his voice line is insane, and I just want to play that repeatedly because it just made me laugh. Like Evolve Shaman also pretty good. Like Muck Pools, having a card that you can play on turn 1 turns out is a good thing for Evolve Shaman. Like just being able to spend mana is good. Overall, I had quite a bit of success in the theory crafting streams. Even doing reasonably well with a Remornia OTK warrior that was pretty fun. Just like hit from the depths into one of the pieces and swap the stats with like Reflecto Engineer for a cool 32 damage with charge. Like pretty good. It worked out well. Had positive win rates with every deck that I tried, and yeah, just generally looking forward to the new set. I think Dude Paladin might be a fun one. It's been a while since I've done just like a good old salt of the earth Dude Paladin, so a lot of fun stuff. Getting a combination of like new exciting archetypes and card types like Remornia, as well as like bolstering existing archetypes. Like nobody's super
Warrior. Hey.
Nobody's super excited about Secret Mage coming back, but like honestly, compared to some of the ridiculous things that we have going on now, like I'll take a Secret Mage every now and then over like dying to turn 5 on against Pillager Rogue another time, or like not being able to play the game of Hearthstone against Shudderwalk Shaman, Quest Mage, or Alignment Druid. Like you're gonna complain about Secret Mage. At least it's over and done with quickly.
I was actually having an interesting conversation with people recently about Secret Mage and how it might just be a net positive for the format. Maybe it can stop people from playing like the Pillager and the Alignment, and even if it isn't the most exciting archetype itself to play against, like maybe it can be a positive thing overall.
It has a pretty good history of bullying like a lot of those toxic decks out of the format. So, and to a similar degree, I think Pirate Rogue does something reasonably similar. So like aggro keeps the metagame honest as much as people don't like it. Like
Preach, Roffle, preach.
Like,
I've been saying this, and every time I say it on stream, people flame me for it. So I'm glad I'm not the only one with this opinion.
Yeah, I just yell over them until they agree with me, and then or leave. I don't care. You need a balance of different archetypes within a healthy metagame in order to perform checks on one another. Where things get out of whack is when one strategy becomes capable of remains unchecked, whether it's because it's too strong or because there isn't those types of decks in the format.
Yeah. I will just hop in here. I think Wild Seed Hunter or Wild Seeds in Beast Hunter is something that I'm really looking forward to, just because Beast Hunter is only recently popped up on the scene anyway, so it still feels kind of new and refreshing, and it still feels like it's being refined, and it's getting new cards now. So I really, really like that. I'm a sucker for Totem Shaman. I know it's bad. It probably is still going to be bad. I'm going to play it because I love it. I think the deck I'm the most excited about, though, is the two that I think are probably going to be the most competitive. Some sort of Enraged Warrior with Anima Extractor and the 2-mana 1/4 and Crab Riders. Buffing big Samuros has been really, really impressive for me. So doing something with that, trying to figure out the right shell, and then Imp Warlock. Guys, you know how we memed on Roffle for his 2-mana draw 3.5 last expansion with Radar Detector? He was right this time with Impending Catastrophe. On the Theory Crafting stream, I had multiple 2-mana draw 7, 2-mana draw 8s with this card. It was actually extremely gross, really, really powerful. So whether you're playing it in Imp Warlock, whether you're playing it in Cute Warlock or whatever, I think there's a package there of Wicked Whispers, Fiendish Circle, Impending Catastrophe as just an absolutely absurd draw engine. Whether that's in Mecha'thun Warlock or whatever combo Warlock or whatever. It's insane. This 2-mana draw spell, I would be surprised if he got out of standard rotation still at 2 mana. I think it's actually that powerful.
I mean, yeah, the Radar Detector we talked last time about, is it good enough to revive an archetype? It was, and Impending Disaster could draw even more. So yeah, could be.
All right, Corb, I know you didn't actually get to Theory Crafting, so what are you excited for? What have you been seeing? What's caught your eye?
The totem stuff in general is pretty interesting. I don't know whether it's even or we at this point maybe we can just go pure totem. That's getting kind of close. The neutral Sinstone totem, the 1-mana 0/3 that gains health at the end of every turn, that card is really good. And so I'm kind of interested where that direction goes. In terms of some other new archetypes that kind of have caught my eye, again, the aggro DH that we mentioned earlier, the Imp Warlock things, the Imp Warlock can do some disgusting stuff. It's just we'll have to see on those, but yeah, I think those are the main ones. Oh, and of course the Rogue, the Miracle Rogue. It's been so long. Again, I was talking about how I've forgotten about these cards after weeks. The Make a Stealth Man, the location. I forgot the name of the actual card at this point, the Rogue one. But I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, Stealth Man card.
It's a lady. It's a lady.
Oh, Stealth Man. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Miracle Rogue stuff. I'm again a little disappointed that we didn't get more of that support. So many cards got allocated to the secret package in Rogue, which does feel like a little bit of a bummer. But at the same time, I don't know if it needed that much help to kind of get off the ground. So I'm sure Miracle Rogue will be the first thing I try.
Yeah. Octobot back to 2 when it rotates, and then the deck really takes off, and it'll be sweet.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, we gotta practice that APM, Corb. I know we're boomers when it comes to APM.
I'm out of practice.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played Mage in so long. It was.
Yeah. I don't play Mage anyways, but God, I was doing some of this on the Theory Crafting stream. I was such a boomer. I could get maybe 15 nulls in. I was I'm freaking out. Because the animation actually takes a little bit of.
The animation is brutal. You actually have to grab the card. No, you have to grab the card before it's even in your hand. The jiggling.
The moment you see the smoke, you have to grab it before the card even appears.
Before you see the smoke, as soon as you start to see your hand shifting, that's when you want to start grabbing.
All right,
so I was just clicking randomly and getting my grabby grabbers.
I was always really scared I was gonna hit the hero power because I was like floating mana for Necra, and I was like, if I hit this hero power, I'm gonna be so sad. But yeah, can I be honest with you guys though? I'm kind of hoping that this deck doesn't end up being good. Like I hope it ends up being fun, but not good, because I'm really worried. Like if it does end up being good, are you worried that you maybe get back that some of that Ignite Mage, animation cheating kind of going on, which is never really addressed because they kind of just nerfed Ignite, like they nerfed Sork.
No, I think in almost every single game, the limiting factor was for me wasn't necessarily time, but like the opponent's board. I think that's going to be a bigger check on the deck than time, because like realistically, you're probably not getting it to 30 anyway. So as long as you get your weapon to 15, you're probably fine. And so I don't think that's going to be as. It might matter like at a handful of games, but it's going to matter a lot less than against Ignite Mage in particular. So maybe, but like there are also ways to play around it too.
All right. So with that, we're gonna hop into our predictions for this expansion. Now that we've seen everything, now that we've had a little bit of time to mess around with stuff, as is tradition, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about what we think are the top 5 strongest cards from all 135 of the expansion, and then do something a little bit more fun and just talk about what we are looking forward to the most, what we think are our 5 favorite cards from the expansion. And so we're doing this, and I know the expansion's not out for another week and a half. Roffle's going on vacation. We're just going to take a little bit of a break next week, so there'll be no State of the Wild episode next week, but we'll be back the week after the moment the expansion drops to get you guys, all the hot takes and hot deck list from the new expansion. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our predictions. All right, Roffle, you want to start off with your predictions here for the 5 strongest cards in no particular order?
Sure. These are definitely not in any particular order, but the first one that I have is based on my own experience, and that is Chatty Bartender. I guess Meowth can also vouch for that as well. Yeah. But like the card is just kind of nutty in Secret Mage. You have Ice Block, so you can kind of regularly ensure that you're getting those online. It punishes your opponent for playing around rigged fair games. So like it's just active. And part of that is also with the help of another card that I have in my top 5, which is Anonymous Informant. As we talked about, you can have that carry over turn so that you can ensure that you have a 0 mana secret for the turn 4 or turn 3 with a coin for the Chatty Bartender to make sure that it goes off at the end of the turn. But the Anonymous Informant in particular really is great at just enabling any secret. Like, you run this in any secret deck that isn't Paladin, because Paladin secrets only cost 1 mana, so you're not really getting that much value, but like it's just such a good card. Next I have the Higantan Totem. There we go.
They just gotta edit out the N from this name.
Just get it. Just let me call it Gigatotem, and I'll be happy. But I think that this one maybe is like it gets better in conjunction with some of the other totems that we saw. In particular, the weapon helps get this online because it's summoning totems. We talked a little bit about whether even shaman or just straight totem shaman might get the edge. The fact that you can totemic reflection a giant totem, because it has the totem tag, might lean more towards just like a straight totem shaman. It also takes an Eyesore buff, so like you can really do some silly things with this if you're able to. And it's just a good card. 0 mana 8/8s are good, and if you can get them down early and often, they're very good. If you can copy them, they're even better. Next up, I have Impending Catastrophe. 2 mana, draw a lot of cards, usually pretty good. I'm with Meowth. I think it might be worth a look at, even in things like Mechathune Warlock. Just like cut the backfires, run some token generators, which are already good with Plague of Flames, and then on top of that, you can run the Impending Catastrophe. Seems like a cute way to to get through your deck a little bit quicker, churn through your rod reduction, and yeah, I'm into it. And then finally, I have the combination of Necrolord Draka and Sinstone Graveyard, because I love this deck. I love this card. I think Draka is probably like the stronger thing, because charge is better than stealth in most cases, and like the weapon effectively has charge that you're creating from her. So yeah, getting the damage immediately was a huge deal. And so just like basically setting my opponent to 15 in a single turn, and then also making a 15/15 minion that's stealth, like the combination of those two things, even if they have weapon removal, it's going to be hard to beat that. So really looking forward to that deck. I really had a great time with it.
All right. Corb, what about your 5 strongest?
Oh man, I feel like I'm still doing homework when the teacher's already coming around to collect it and stuff. So I'm kind of doing a last minute push here. But all right, I think I have my 5. Let's see, number 1. Well, I shouldn't say ordered, otherwise that leaves me for getting hosed down the road. So let's just say these top 5. Wild Spirits, the Hunter 3 mana, makes some dormant wild seed cards. That one seems good. I heard as well, just a quick note, that was buffed pretty late in the cycle by Chalky. It was originally 4, and they were like, let's give it a little nudge. I do wonder if they're going to give it a little nudge back at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. The next card I had was Pelagos, the 3 mana priest legendary, the 1/6. Put a spell on a minion, and then it gets either its highest attack or health. So, if it's a 1/6 after, you make it into a 6/6. That seems like it's going to be the best card, or maybe the second best card behind Crab Rider in a Fire Priest, and that seems good. Impending Catastrophe, draw 7 for 2 mana, seems strong. Chisel, the Shaman weapon. This is kind of the slot that I was struggling with, and where I was crossing out my answer before teacher came and collected the homework. Do I necessarily think Shaman decks are going to be insane? We'll wait and see. Do I think that Carving Chisel is going to be one of the best, if not the best card in Totem Shamans and even Shamans? Yes. So I wasn't quite sure what to do with that, right? When you're not sure about the archetype, but you trust the card. That was a tough one. And the last one I had was Anonymous Informant, the 2 mana secret cheater. I mean, that card, again, just has an obvious home. Obviously good. Seeing the effect, it's just like above curve. So good card is good.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of went the opposite way of like cards that I knew were going to be strong, and the ones that I wanted to take a punt on, I put in my 5 favorite.
Yeah.
So a little bit of an alternate approach here. So I have a couple of overlaps here. I have the Impending Catastrophe. I think we can all agree 2 mana draw a million is a good card. And like I said, I'd be very surprised if this got out of standard still at 2 mana. I also had Wild Spirits. It sounds like I should be very surprised if this gets out of standard at 3 mana. And so this card's just like insane. Like, it's a very, very good card, and works really, really nicely with a legendary too. And yeah, excited for Wild Spirits. Obviously, I had an Honest Informant. Sounds like Impending Catastrophe and an Honest Informant are the 2 that were like really, really sold on. And then for my 2 hot takes here. So I had Forensic Duster, so the Cult Neophyte for minions. I am the known Free Shaman defendant on this podcast, and the Free Shaman enjoyer, or the connoisseur. I think Forensic Duster is great in that deck, but I also think it's really good against Free Shaman, right? And stuff like Pillager Rogue. And so I'm really hopeful that this will, make its way into other decks that are not just Tech Shaman, and maybe do some shifting and warping of the format with that card. I'm putting a lot of hope in this card, and hopefully it doesn't let me down. And then the one I think I'm taking the punt on here is Tome Tampering. And so did a little bit of brewing off the Theory Crafting stream. I know Corb said he wasn't like super impressed with it, but when it worked, it did really, really gross things. And I think I learned our lesson from last expansion, where we said the same exact thing about Switcheroo. We're like, yeah, when it works, it's gross, but like, how often is it going to work? How consistent is it going to be? And then it got banned. So I'm gonna put my hat here on Tome Tampering, just because when it works, it's absurdly gross, and people are not gonna like it when the deck works. And so yeah, went a little bit out of my way here with Tome Tampering, but I'm a believer. For better or for worse, because I think I'm going to hate playing against the deck if it works, but I think
it's a win-win, Meowth. If the card sucks, then you have to play against it. And if it's good, then you get to brag. So no downside.
I think it'll probably be like if it works. I played a little bit of it myself, and my build was not great, but I still won games. But like most of that was doing just like warlock removally things a lot of the time, or just like general warlock card drawy things, and then like I don't know. So it didn't feel strong or consistent. I feel like it's going, but it has the potential to be like another Darkest Hour, which was just like a flat high roll deck, like kind of like Dragon Rogue or those type of things. Like, so I think it's probably on par with that. I would be surprised if it were this set's switcheroo, even though I said switcheroo wasn't going to be a thing last time. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So this is my watch post of the expansion. It's going to be busted, right? It's totally going to get nerfed, maybe banned. Yeah, totally. All right. So those are our 5 strongest. These are the ones that are really funny to come back in a couple months to just see like how far off we were. Last expansion we weren't super off. The expansion before I think we were kind of pretty off, and so hopefully we're a lot closer again back to back. But it does seem like we were a lot more sure of things after the theory crafting stream last time than we are this time, which obviously shows with our 5 strongest. All right. Now, let's shift gears a little bit here. Let's talk about our favorite cards, though. The cards you're most looking forward to playing. Just the cards that you think are super sweet from the new expansion. So, Roffle, let's circle back to you. What cards are you excited to play?
Ghastly Gravedigger, for sure. That should be no surprise. I've been talking about that quite a bit. I want to discard my opponent's hand. Just let me do it. Similar, but a little bit different. A little bit goofier is the Harvester of Envy. I want to steal my opponent's cards as well. Ideally, when they're already in the opponent's hand. That way I can, again, live my dream of not allowing them to have a hand while I have a hand. I want, I talked about like Quest Mage, Celestial Light Druid, Free Shaman, like not letting the opponent play. I want to do the same thing, just like differently. So, yeah, that's my thing. The Countess, the pure Paladin card, I had a different Paladin deck lined up for the theory crafting, and then this card released, and I was like, oh, I'm playing that because I just want to do I just want to make random legendaries. Unfortunately, I only got to play it once, and it was when I was already losing, but like I don't know, it's a cool card, and even if it's bad. Finally, Convoke the Spirits, like it's another puzzle box of Yogg-Saron, but in Druid. It's probably worse. Druid has a lot of really poor spells. But it has a lot of high rolls too, so looking forward to that. And then finally, Imp King Rafam, just because I'm happy Rafam's back. I love Rafam, and his voice line is outrageous, so I want to play a Rafam deck. That's going to be one of the first ones I do come expansion time.
I will say, on the theory crafting stream, I'm not exactly sure what the rules are for Harvester of Envy, because there were a couple of times where like my opponent stole a Hydrolodon from me and then like played a Hydrolodon and then didn't steal the one out of my deck. And I wasn't exactly sure what was going on, or like didn't steal the card out of my hand. So I'm not sure if it has to be like exact copies or what, but
it could have been an unstable build because we were on like a test realm. So
yeah,
maybe things like that will get ironed out before release.
Hopefully. All right, Corb, what cards are you looking forward to the most?
Let me get the thing up. All right, there we go. The 5 cards that I had as my my faves are Sinstone Graveyard, so that would be the rogue location. The 2-mana summon a 1/1 Stealth Ghost, has +1/+1 for each card you've played. I like Biteweed. I like Biteweed with stealth even more. So again, Miracle Rogue is something that I'm excited for. Similarly, Necrolord Draka? I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to enjoy playing it anyway. Again, Miracle Rogue, similar theme here. Roffle likes discarding the opponent's hand. I like making big stuff and playing lots of cards in Rogue. That's kind of what we each got going on here. What else did I have? I had the Magnifying Glaive in Demon Hunter. That's the 3-mana weapon that you draw until you have 3 cards after your hero attacks. So kind of interested to see what that can do for DH. Very, very strong card, I think. Anima Extractor. We kind of already went over some of the skipper stuff and the potential. This has the 2-mana 1/4 whenever a friendly minion takes damage. Give +1/+1 to a random minion in your hand. Skipper decks is something that I've always loved and kind of want to keep trying, and hopefully eventually it'll land. And I don't know, this card's kind of absolutely insane. Like, this is not a card bounced around Risky Skipper in any capacity, and so hopefully it can actually break and, you know, do something that's really fun. And my final favorite card, a card that will always have a soft spot in my heart, Ashen Elemental. 3 mana, 2/4, Battle Cry. Whenever your opponent draws a card next turn, they take 2 damage. Am I going to play this? No. Am I that excited for it? No. But, you know, this was my first, first card reveal. And for that reason, I'll always have a soft spot here for the Ashen Elemental.
Aw. I really hope people play it against you when you're playing Quest Mage.
Toxic, but deserved.
Yeah. Or at least APM Mage, you know, when you relapse again and play that deck. So
I can't believe I relapsed again recently. Oh, it was horrible. It was so bad.
I watched it. It was really bad. The deck and the relapse. All right. My 5 favorite here. Yeah, I'm cheating a little bit. I've got like multiple cards piled into one. Like the package of Anima Extractor and the Crazed Wretch. Like Corb was saying, the Risky Skipper package is just something that's like super fun, super skill intensive, super excited to learn and test this deck and play it. It seems like it's going to be a ton of fun. I have been kind of vocal in the past of enjoying stuff like Secret Mage, and so Chatty Bartender, it's a good card. I'm excited. Like, Secret Mage is going to be good again. We talked about this a little bit. Like, it might be a net positive for the format if it ends up being good enough against Pirate Rogue, while still being able to like tamper down the combo decks in the format. And so might, as weird as it might be, might open up a little bit of room in the format. So excited to mess around with some Secret Mage. I have Carving Chisel, and then honestly you can include any of the other totem cards here in place of Chiseling Totem. So the Giga Totem, as well as the new legendary, the Stone Right, the one that gives your totems permanent +2 attack. Like I said, I'm an Even Shaman, like, sympathizer, right? It's soft spot for the deck, just like Libram Paladin. Always gonna play it whenever a new card gets out, realize it sucks, and then put it on the shelf into the new expansion. So hopefully that's not the same this time, but we'll see. I'm with Roffle. I have Ghastly Gravedigger in here. It's really fun to just yoink cards out of the and then you shadow step it. And I saw Dane doing some stuff with Sonya and Scabs, or sorry, no, Shark, Scabs, and the Cheaty, or the Ghastly Gravedigger, and you just like rip your opponent's entire hand out of their hand in one turn, even if you're not playing a dedicated Secret Rogue, which sounds kind of gross, but also really sweet. And then last but not least, I had the Vile Library. So I don't think I was like a super big believer in this card until I actually like played Imp Warlock, and then this became very quickly like 2 mana +5/+5 and 2 mana +6/+6. And if that was a spell, you would play that. And this location lets you do it twice, which is super sweet. And I think like that plus the Impending Catastrophe is what's actually going to make Imp Warlock like a real deck. Reform or not, right? Because I don't know if you want to run Hand of Gul'dan stuff in that, but I think Imp Warlock might actually be real. And we've talked a lot about Impending Catastrophe, but I think Vile Library is like just as crucial of a part to that deck, like actually existing and functioning. And I like Cute Lock. I've liked Discard Warlock, aggressive Warlock decks, you know, kind of my vibe. So yeah, those are my 5 favorites. Not a lot super flashy, exciting legendaries, but a lot of cards that I'm excited for regardless. All right, last question for you guys before we wrap up the podcast episode. How hyped are you for the expansion? How are you feeling? Are you excited?
Yeah, I want to solve the mystery, and I want to do it now, and I want to play with the new cards. I want to discard my opponent's hand and infuse a massive Sire Denathrius. Like I'm very much looking forward to this. The theme is great. I think it's got some fun and unique cards that are, you know, some like new takes on old themes or cards, as well as like completely unique things. Like we've never seen anything like Remornia before, and it is very cool. So I'm looking forward to it very much.
Yeah, obviously, same. I know this is the state of wild and stuff as well, but I'm very much looking forward to what kind of impact the set can have in standard. I haven't really had the been enjoying standard very much over the last expansion, and personally, like I like to dabble in both. So I'm kind of really looking forward to that, and hopefully it can breathe some life into there. And yeah, in Wild, you never know what you're gonna get. Like it's always a bit hit and miss, and you never know if it's gonna have like a huge impact or which decks are really gonna prop up and things like that. And that's always super fun. Like I always find the first few weeks, the first month or so of an expansion to be for the most part, the best time in Wild, unless something like the Chaos incident happens. But you know, fingers crossed on that one. So we'll have to wait and see if that Tome, the Warlock card, actually does the damage that some people are fearing. But apart from that, you know, I'm looking forward to it and exploring everything that the Castle Nathria has to offer.
Yep, you guys said it really, really well. I'm hyped. The cards look really sweet, and they even if they're not like super busted, they seem like a lot of fun to play with. But honestly, also some of them kind of seem really busted, which is it's exciting. Playing new decks, like you said, theater crafting is going to be a ton of fun. I just can't believe we have to wait, you know, another week before the expansion drops. Really, really sad. But yeah, so for all of you listeners that have actually made it all the way in, we have a little bit of a surprise for you guys. We are giving away 2 bundles, courtesy of Play Hearthstone and Blizzard. So 1 mega bundle and 1 standard bundle for the brand new expansion. So all you have to do, there will be a link down in the description. It'll also be in the pinned comment. You just click it, fill it out. It'll take you like literally 30 seconds, and you'll be entered to win. And we will notify those winners Friday. What is Friday? July 29th. And so that you have plenty of time to still pre-order even if you don't grab that. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. Thanks again to Play Hearthstone and Alkali for the bundles. And yeah, appreciate you guys sticking with me. Podcast episode 102. Make sure you guys check out their content, you know, when the expansion drops. And so Roffle and Corby, you guys want to tell them where they can find you in that content?
Yeah, you can find my videos on YouTube at Roffle and streams at Roffle on Twitch.
And you can always find me at Corbett on Twitch and Corbettgames on Twitter.
You can find me at Get Me Out on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Appreciate all of you guys listening all the way to the end. Hope you guys are as excited for the brand new expansion as we are. Before we, sign off, just a reminder, no podcast episode next week. Enjoy your weekend off before the new expansion hits. But obviously, we'll be back first week with our hot takes and hot new decks. That being said, hope you guys take care, and we'll see you guys again next time. Later.